If we can all take our seats as we begin the session. Thank you very much. So talking about digital rights and freedom of expression in West Africa, we have a pleasure of having a couple of panelists in our midst who are experts and have relevant experience in this field and will be sharing with us from their knowledge in this space. But before that, I'd like to do a short background on what the session is all about. With the advent of the Web 2.0, we see that new generation of internet users are not just consumers anymore, but producers of information on the internet. Today, we have millions of people who use social media platforms, and we have newspapers and media houses who have their platforms and share content on the internet. However, we can see that the growth of, of the internet has been characterized by increasing need for improvements in citizens' rights of access to information and also the freedom of expression. There's also an increasing rise in production of fake news and citizens promoting hate speech and violence, racism, and so on the internet. Digital rights are human rights. Therefore, we, we see that in the first edition of the 2016 Paradigm Initiative report on digital rights in Africa, Africa was declared the year of internet shutdowns in Africa. Yeah, it was declared the year of internet shutdown in Africa. And the year 2016 was actually marked with 11 internet shutdowns across the continent. So, and we can see that these has continued till date because we still have some reports of countries experiencing partial or full internet shutdowns as we speak. This raises important questions on the scope of digital rights and limits of freedom of expression in our region. This is why we have put together this amazing set of people on this panel who would share their vast experience and workings in various sections of this theme. Therefore, it's my pleasure to introduce the distinguished panelists for this session. First, I'd like to introduce Miss Ena Annette Sambo from the Gambia. Our second panelist is Mr. Emmanuel Vitus, a Google Policy Fellow with the Paradigm Initiative. And our last but not the least, the panelist is Mrs. Nina Owankama. She is from the World Wide Web Foundation. Yeah. So once again, let's put our hands together for our panelists. So I'm going to be throwing a few questions at our panelists who will be giving us short 5 minutes thoughts and understanding from their stakeholder point of view. So the first panelist I would like to put a question at is Mrs. Anna Annette. And we would like to know, when it comes to freedom of expression, we know that one of the most important things that are being discussed nowadays is the fake news and misinformation. So would like to know that what are the current issues that we face in West Africa concerning fake news, and what are the roles of stakeholders in addressing them? Ms. Annette,
Thank,
over to you.
thank you very much, Bola. It's nice to be one of the panelists today. As we all know, the internet being a fundamental human right, it's very critical and one has to be able to use it wisely. We're talking of fake news, we're talking of cyberbullying, we're talking about hate speeches right now, which has now filtered around into various online platforms, which has led to most times a disregard for data protections and privacy. In Africa, we're looking at various issues that are happening. Just recently, in the case of Gambia, we've seen girls speaking up for the first time about their rape cases, and sensitive information have been uploaded through the different social media platforms available, forgetting that there are repercussions. We now have a situation whereby young people are using social media as a court of law, which is not the case. There are certain information that has to be posted online. There are certain information that doesn't really need to be online. But young people nowadays are losing the fact that social media is not a court of law, but rather a space where you can discuss issues affecting you. You can upload pictures, communicate with family and friends, but using it as a platform whereby anybody can post anything that they wish to post online and expect people to judge based on their circumstances is something that we really need to look at critically. It's not everything that one has to really post online. You need to be careful what you post. And remember, we should always remember that once you post something online, it's there forever. It doesn't matter how much time you take to block your account, delete it, you don't know who already has access to those information. And it might at some point in your life later on come back to haunt you. So we really need to be very careful using the internet. People are using it to be insulting one another. We're talking about hate speeches right now. These are all platforms that young people are now taking up, which is not really helping anybody, including them. As I keep saying, young people nowadays, you can't tell them not to go to the internet, but what you can do is you can really teach them and guide them through how to use the internet safely and wisely and in a very constructive manner. Because as I keep saying, they're the future leaders of tomorrow. And if they're not being guided properly, then we have a problem tomorrow. If everybody is coming up with stories talking about this is what happened to my grandfather at some point in his life, this is what happened to my grandmother at some point in her life, then where are we tomorrow? We are all doomed. So we really need to be very careful. And then talking about the roles the stakeholders can do in addressing fake news and the like, I think policymakers and regulatory bodies, including civil society organizations, should take it upon themselves right now to advocate and sensitize citizens from state level to individuals about the laws and acts in place and knowing when to draw the line in terms of hate what's it called hate speeches and what's it called uh, fake news. So we really need to be very careful. It's a challenge right now, but one thing again I keep saying is what you don't want your parents to see you're doing online, what you don't want your grandparents to see you're doing online, and what you don't want your future kids to see that you're doing online, then do not post it online. That's not the place where it's supposed to be. I'll stop here for now.
Thank you very much for addressing some of the key points when it comes to fake news and misinformation online. I'd like to throw my next question at the second panelist, Mr. Emmanuel. And this question actually borders on the freedom of expression as it is. And we see that one of the major barring factors for freedom of expression is the internet shutdowns that we have experienced in the continent over the years. So I would just like you to share with us the state of internet governance, internet shutdowns, pardon me, in West Africa, and also the advocacy strategies and policies that could be put in place to address internet shutdowns. And also, you can touch on the legislative efforts and some existing initiatives that have been started to address the issues on internet shutdown. Over to you, Mr. Emmanuel.
Okay, thank you very much. Once again, my name is Manuel. I'm coming from Togo. I'm currently working with Prime Initiative, and our work focus a lot on digital rights and online freedom. We also focus on digital inclusion in Africa. So this afternoon, I'm going to limit myself to our region, which is the West African region, in terms of internet shutdowns and the legislative efforts the stakeholders are actually doing to actually preserve the future of the internet in our region. So basically, when we talk about internet shutdown, it's not a new topic, and I think UN has taken a step in 2016 to actually take a resolution when it comes to disruption of networks, internet shutdowns in the world. And they took this resolution because most of the countries, and Africa was like one of the first people to test internet to see whether they can use it on any other manner to actually suppress freedom of expression or limit citizens' capability to actually take decision or actually revolt against bad policies and governance. So the resolution is not really is a non-binding resolution, but as I said, it put pressure on government and also raise awareness when it comes to the openness of the internet in countries. But in West Africa, we realize that most countries, for some reasons, have decided to actually shut down the internet in some period of their history. Either is election, either is exams, either is protests, and it has been a trend. We realize people, a lot of countries have copied from each other, and I'm not going to mention the countries because I think most of us here actually we are very aware about that situation, starting from where we are today and the other countries surrounding the Gambia. But when it comes to efforts of the stakeholders at Padim Initiative, for example, what we're trying to do is to actually engage with the stakeholders because usually when you talk about internet shutdown, people point out directly to the government, which is normal, but sometimes we have to know that when it comes to the shutdown, it's not just the government, the private sector is involved, the civil society is involved, everyone is involved. So what we do is capacity building, engagement with the government to explain that, well, the right people enjoy offline should be protected online as well. So that's the work we do, either by training, either by engagement, and also we're trying to see the policies around in countries, look at the laws, the existing laws, to see how we can actually work on those existing law and policies at this digital age. Because most of the countries, they don't have those rights already in their policy and legislative efforts. So in Nigeria, we start from Nigeria with the Digital Right and Freedom Bill, which is one of the first bill on the continent that actually protect the users online. Uh, the two chambers of the Nigerian Parliament have passed the law. It went for presidential assent, but unfortunately, for some reasons, it was rejected. We are still working on it, working with all the stakeholders to see how we can actually, through that law, protect the right of Nigerians when it comes to online rights or digital rights. So we're trying to replicate the same effort in other countries in the sub region to help those countries have those legislative uh, documents to allow them to both protect their citizens and also guide the government when it comes to shut down the internet in those countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel. I'd like to push the next question to our final panelists. And I would like her to also touch on the same question that says, what are the responsibilities of stakeholders and actors in addressing issues on both fake news and freedom of expression and also the internet shutdowns? And also, in addition to that, I would also like you to help us to define the strategies for citizens to defend themselves against some of these violations. So, please, your next, Mrs. Nena. Over to you. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. There are quite a number of things I can say, but I will speak to three things. And if you want to summarize the three things, it will be balance. We talked about rights, we also need to talk about left. So it's about rights and left. Otherwise known as rights and responsibilities. In as much as we have rights, as users, we also have responsibilities. The journalists have a right, they also have responsibilities. Most often, we charge governments with responsibilities, but please understand that governments also have rights. So if you forget every other thing I have said in Gambia, remember that rights are balanced with responsibilities. And please do not forget that our central theme for this IGF is shared stakeholder responsibilities. So you see a nice girl, you want her, but know that the dress she's wearing, you have to keep up the beauty. So rights must be balanced at all times with responsibilities. That's my first thing. And yesterday I talked to you about the contract for the web, which is an engagement of every stakeholder towards the shared platform that we have called the web and the internet. I want to talk about voice. Freedom of expression is something you've heard since the Declaration of Human Rights, but I want you to think further about voice. It's a specific thing. Sometimes it is physical. It is the art of bringing out sound. So by inviting me to this panel, you are giving me a voice. Voice means opportunity. Voice means having a space at the table. Voice means speaking for yourself. Voice means speaking when it matters. Voice means speaking where it matters. Voice also means speaking to those who will take the decisions that are needed to help you get to where you want to get to. Voice means speaking and being safe after you have spoken. Does that make it clearer for you what freedom of expression is? Now, if you want to give a voice to somebody, of what use is it when you give a voice to me in an empty room? Of what use is it when you give a voice to someone when there is nobody listening? Or give a voice at the wrong time, at the wrong space, to the wrong people? Voice is what we are looking for. And the online space is a very important platform for voices, for myself as an individual, for us as West Africans, whether we are governments, whether we're civil society, or we're private sector. And this, I think, is very, very important. The West Africa Internet Governance Forum is an opportunity for West Africans to have a voice in the global IGF. So I want to put that down. Voice does not just mean speaking, but you have to speak with a purpose to a people at a place and time where it matters. Oh, please. They give me 5 minutes, now you take 30 seconds clapping. The first thing I said was responsibilities and rights. The second thing I said was voice, which is different from freedom of expression. Now I want to talk to you. I want to remove the Web Foundation hat. My job at the Web Foundation is to invite you to sign the contract. Now I want to speak to you as Nena, and I want to speak to only one group of people in this room, women. The online platform is a golden opportunity for women to express themselves. It is the opportunity for you to speak issues that you are not freely able to do so offline. We do agree that the rights of offline should be the same online. But I can tell you as a woman, the online platform gives you more opportunities. The things you cannot say in your local language, you can have groups online and interact with people. You can reach out and get help. Some things that society frowns on, you can get help on those. I work from home and I'm the head of 3 families. My life is a difficult one, but internet connectivity helps me to keep up. This is what it can do for you. I'm speaking about opportunities now. When I was born, I was the third of 3 children and I was a girl, and my family rejected me because they did not feel that girls had a value. It is the same uncles who drove my mother away that are sending their children for me to pay their school fees. Are we speaking? So you need to sit down and ask yourself, when I go online, what am I contributing? What skills am I gaining? And how do I use it to improve myself and make a name for myself? There are no developed communities without developed women. I'm going to give you, can you please not applaud? I'm going to give you 5 things that we use. It's called REACT. The first is right. Development is your right. Using the internet to develop yourself is a right. If you hear anybody saying, and we want to give them internet to help women, and tell them no, it's not about helping the undercover help. Women don't need help. They just want their rights to be respected. So it is your right to develop yourself. Ask for it. The E is education. When you get online and all you do there is nonsense, you are degrading the environment, degrading yourself and other women. Do not get into stupid debates. Learn things. Go to school. Improve yourself. Acquire skills. You can do these things online. Educate yourself on how to make the best use of the internet and also use the internet to better yourself. You see what I mean? The more you go online, the more you should be a better version of yourself. That is the E. The A is the access. We talked about accessing the internet. Okay. I have one bag, only one handbag, because I put my money where my future is. Spend your money well. I'm speaking to women, eh? Spend your money well. You know what I'm talking about? Get that access and get meaningful access and better yourself with it. The C is content. Do not let anybody tell you that you are of no value. You can exchange with other people. Everybody who creates content on the internet gets value for it. Even if it's just your face, you can create content around where you are, who you are, and people will want to listen to you. The internet gives you a voice. Use it. Create content. Be useful. Do more of uploading instead of downloading. The last is target. You cannot be going from one conference to another and listening to people and not have a target for your own self. You need to tell yourself, okay, I've met Nena, we've taken a selfie, but what is it in it for me? So, sisters, it is your right. Educate yourself, get the right access, create the right content, have a target for yourself, and be the better form of yourself. Next time I see you, you should have grown and the internet would have contributed to it. Get a voice and use it.
Thank you very much, Ms. Nena, for that amazing presentation. So very quickly, we are going to move to questions from the audience. I know we have said a lot, and for as many who have something to contribute to the discussion or have questions for our amazing panelists, please walk down to the mic. So because of our time, we won't be taking as many questions. So for those who are behind the mic now, those are the questions we'll take. I mean, including all of you guys. No, that's not freedom of expression. Okay, so we have everyone there. Any other question from the audience? Okay, so we have 5 questions. Questions after questions won't be allowed. Okay, so we are good. Thank you very much. So the first question.
My name is Aliuba. I'm very impressed with what the lady was talking about, about women's feeling whom they are. Actually, always I used to tell them that if you think that you're too small to make changes, you have never spent with mosquito on the same bed. So coming back to this thing is going to Annette. As you are somebody who have been fighting for women so long. So we say that if you talk on, as you were saying, when we say right goes with responsibilities, that is obvious. So if we come here today, if we tell the people that your right online should be the same as your line offline, so people have different interpretation or misinterpret this statement. Because we are seeing today, most of the time when things are posted online, so those people, for instance, if you come to the cyberbullying and the like, people they can upload an individual video or the like. So after this thing being uploaded, you will see people being judgmental on the issue. Do you understand? They will be judgmental, saying that, for instance, I know this thing will happen to her. I know she's like this thing. Started to give all negative comments without finding how authentic is that thing posted. So is that, and if you talk to them, most of the time, they will tell you that I have the right to speak. I have the right to say whatever I want. But I believe that you should buttress on what are the right actually that people have online. Thank you.
Good afternoon once again. My name is Mohamed El Saleh from the Gambia College. What I have is a comment to the issue. Okay, it's very important we try to put things together because most of the youths are affected in the internet. When you look at the side of cyberbullying, this is an issue we need to try on our level best to make sure people are not affected. Because normally these people are women who are affected. And so this can discourage these people to participate in public utilities that can affect their lives. So what are we going to do as Africans to make sure these people are put in place where if they are affected, people can try and remedy their situation and help them. That is the comment I want to put across.
Good afternoon. I am Mohamed Sisse, a Gambian. And my question goes to Madam Sambo. You talked about the online space as not a court of law, if I got you right. You gave an example of the rape girls that were going online in the recent past, voicing out their ordeals online. And then if I could get this statement right, it's like the online space is not a court of law whereby your ordeals could be taken care of. So does that imply that the affected persons should not share their ordeals online? One, and then if that is the case, does that mean that our rights online are lesser than our rights offline? And the second one is just an add-on for Madam Nena, if I get that right. You speak about having a voice. I just want to add for you that it's not only about the person speaking, but voice matters when you are being listened to. It is important that you speak and share your ideas and views at the right time with the right people and on purpose. But what is more important is for you to be listened to. If you are not listened to, then your voice has no means nothing. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lilian Naroga. I'm coming from Uganda, which is in East Africa. I came quite a long way to be at this forum. And to me, when I look at the session, probably some of these things may have already been said, but sorry, I have a cough, so I'll keep doing this. Just bear with me. There's something that it may have been mentioned, it may not have been mentioned. The issue of internet shutdowns in West Africa is quite alarming. And coming from East Africa, we've had only 2 countries that have experienced internet shutdowns. My own country and I think Burundi. And if we are here talking about shared responsibilities of internet, of stakeholders for a robust internet governance system, we need to, one, the previous session, we recognized the importance of the internet, what it can do for us. Nena here has been talking about the importance of internet responsibilities for women, for youth, plus everyone. We talked about infrastructure. But why is it so easy for someone to just sit somewhere on top and say, no, we need to shut it down? The organization I work for, which is the Collaboration on International ICT Policy in Eastern Southern Africa, in short, CIPESA, we've conducted quite a series of research into the impact of internet shutdowns in Africa. And to be honest, if we are looking at developing our economy and our continent, and we also appreciate the value of the internet, we should desist from internet shutdowns. There are so many options that we can do or take to address concerns, society concerns, but shutting down the internet is not one of those. So the Web Foundation, the contract for the web, addresses such things. Why is it easy for us to be able to stand for the internet for we all want? So my humble appeal to the government representatives and to almost every stakeholders, we need to say no to internet shutdowns. Internet shutdowns will not solve the problems that, we seek to solve. And when we look at, it's usually political, it's around elections, it's around, for the case of Ethiopia, controlling students, cheating exams. These are really cheating exams really, it sounds a bit vague, but anyway, my humble appeal to the government representatives from the countries that have experienced internet shutdowns in this room today, and those that are not in this room, kindly, if you value the internet, let's stay away from pressing that kill switch. It doesn't do any justice to us as a continent, and it doesn't do any justice to us as users of the internet. As I summarize, I want to let everyone know we have a forum on internet freedom in Africa, and this year we shall be hosting our 2019 edition in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. The dates are 23rd to 26th September, and we currently have a call for session proposals. We have a call for travel support. The deadline is 31st this month, which I think is Tuesday next week. So we would like to hear from you on, if you're interested in internet freedom on the continent, you can put in an application, a session proposal, and come and meet other people across Africa who are ready to address the issue of addressing and having a free internet for everyone. Thank you.
Good afternoon, panelists and beautiful audience. My name is Ibrahim Ajara. I'm a Gambian. So what I have to say is a recommendation. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. We just wanted to, we have a very auspicious guest with us today. This is a ITU Secretary General who's just visiting us today and spending a little bit of time with us. It's a very short visit. He's just going to share a few words with us. Sir?
I don't need a seat. Yeah. Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to come here to visit this IGF for West Africa countries. I learned this news only this morning from our Honorable Minister. I came to visit Gambia today for, cooperation between ITU and Gambia. And then Honorable Minister told me that IGF West Africa meetings are held since yesterday, and today is the last day. So I didn't know that there's so many experts, so many participants in this meeting room. I thought maybe around 30 or 40 people from 16 countries. But it's full. This room is great. As you know, that the IGF is a very big platform for people everywhere in the world to look at internet governance issues. And this forum was one of the two forums established after the World Information Society Summit, World Summit of Information Society, WSIS, which was held, first phase was held in Geneva in December 2013, and the second phase was held in November 2000, first phase was held in Geneva, December 2003, and the second phase was held in Tunisia, November 2005. And this World Summit of Information Society was initiated by ITU, International Telecommunication Union, at its plenipotentiary conference held in 1998. And we consider that with ICT technology development, with ICT's important tools to facilitate the socio-economic development everywhere, to also to see the new challenges when we get into information society era, that to keep these technologies, services be discussed by telecom engineers, telecom authorities only, is not enough. So we like to invite the whole society to look at the issues, look at the challenges. Therefore, ITU decided to invite World Summit on Information Society through the UN process. And the UN agreed. Then we organized these two phases, 2003 and 2005. Of course, we cannot have a summit every day, every year. And then we set up some goals, we call the WSIS goals. And we, for example, the goals is, one of the goals is to connect all schools, connect all hospitals by the end of 2015. Those are ambitious goals, but some of the goals have not been achieved yet. And all these goals rely on the ICT services available to everybody. And we are still far away from that one. We know that it's good goals, good strategy, but will be challenges, will be a lot of opportunities. So we have to work together to catch up the opportunities, but we also have to really push for the development. Therefore, we decided to have two forums. One is called WSIS Forum, which is organized by ITU, together with UNESCO, UNCTAD, and the UNDP as 4 major UN agencies to co-organize the event annually, together with many other UN agencies like FAO, like WHO, you can name it. So we had that meeting started from 2006 until this year. So every year we organize this WSIS forum in Geneva, normally in May, sometimes in April, and where we discuss the achievement of ICT everywhere in the world, where we discuss existing situation and the challenges, and we discuss the strategy to move ahead. So that is WSIS forum. Another forum is IGF, Internet Governance Forum, because the WSIS recognize the importance of internet services. We also realize that the internet will bring a lot of opportunity to our people, but we also have a lot of issues to be addressed collectively. So we then established this IGF. Again, starting from 2006, we organized the first IGF meeting in Athens of Greece. And recently, last time, we had that meeting in Switzerland. And this year, in November, we will have next World IGF in Berlin of Germany. So every year, all stakeholders, partners come together to address the internet government-related issues. Of course, the cybersecurity is one of them, is the core part, but many others, because the internet services now is almost everywhere. When we talked about these cybersecurity issues, it's quite important, but this is issues only meaningful to those people already connected online. But still today, half population not connected online yet. And those people are living in the areas poor connected, or little connected, or no connection, where you don't have profit for industries to invest in their areas. So to have this half population not connected yet to be connected, to let them enjoy the same benefit ICT offer to those already connected, is a big challenge to us. And we also know that the internet governance has some other issues like still linked with cybersecurity, like child abuse, like women equality, and disabled people. I'm very pleased to have these sign languages to help us. But that is very good. But still, we have many others who need a new technology to help them. But on the other hand, we also need to enlarge our contents, in particular contents in local languages for local communities, so that the people, in particular those people not connected, can really benefit from this technology. So IGF gives us opportunities to look at this issue. And I'm very pleased that our Africa Frank organized the regional IGF to address those particular issues commonly challenged by our members in this region. And of course, this is very important for the global family as well. So we appreciate very much the organizer to organize this meeting. And I'm also very pleased to see that the Gambia now play more and more active roles in the efforts to promote ICT, not only at the national level, but also at the regional level, at the global level. So we'd like to encourage Gambia to continue. We'd like to encourage our West Africa friends to go together. It's on. That's good. Let me just continue. You don't need to look at me. You can hear my voice. that is very good. And here, I also like to appreciate West Africa coordinations. For example, in the world, we talked about the ICT benefit. We talked about the challenges. And one of the challenges is roaming charges. And roaming charges everywhere is still an issue. However, if you look at the global market, you find that it's our Africa friends, particularly first from North East Africa, 5 countries eliminated their roaming charges as early as in 2015, much earlier than our European friends. Then followed by West Africa. You also partly remove this troublesome roaming charges among 6 members of this region. And this is a development trend. It will be followed by the other regions. But on the other hand, it does not mean that Africa always left behind. And Africa could lead the new trend of development. This is a good example. Of course, earlier example is e-money from Kenya, from our Africa continent. So many things can happen first in Africa. I give you another story that in 2013, when I was invited by Turkey administration to join the regional conference on cybersecurity. At that meeting, one of my colleagues from the European Union told the conference that nowadays our European continent may not always show leadership, and we have problems from time to time. And he gave a good example that while European Union's headquarters in Brussels, and Brussels did not know when we can introduce the 4G. That was 2013 September. They still don't know when they can start to use 4G. But he said the 4G service is already announced for commercial use in many Africa capitals. That was true. That was true. So, not always we should consider ourselves left behind the others. And in many areas, we see the innovations from the continent. We see the leadership from this continent. And here, let me take this opportunity once more again to encourage Africa friends to continue with their innovative ideas for ICT technologies, for ICT contents, for ICT applications, that someday in the future, in the near future, I will see that ICT products made in Africa be appreciated, but not only by Africa continent, but also appreciated by the world. And we will, I think that be more beneficial to see this kind of thing be a big contributor to the future socio-economic development of the world. So, ladies and gentlemen, I was told that I could have 5 minutes. I think it's more than 5 minutes. And those speaking in the dark is not counted in 5 minutes. But anyhow, let me... would like to have a photo with you here, the panelists. Oh, okay, fine. It's a great pleasure. So let me take the opportunity once more again, congratulate our Africa experts, Africa partners for your active roles in the ICT development in Africa, which is also a part of global ICT development. And look forward to see you from time to time in ITU activities. And ITU will have its next ITU Telecom be organized by ITU together with Hungary to be held in Budapest from 9th to 12th of September, where we will encourage our member states to bring their SMEs, small, medium-sized entrepreneurs, to come to our event. I'm very pleased to see many SMEs projects be appreciated by Global Family. We awarded some of them, and I'm pretty sure in ICT many talent young people can bring their marvelous innovations to our event. And later on this year, from end of October until end of November, ITU will organize the biggest conference. So it's called World Radio Communication Conference in Sharm el-Sheikh of Egypt, where we will finally define the 5G technologies and the spectrum associated with the 5G. You have heard of 5G. This is the future of the planet. And we will go with 5G as a base to support many new technologies such as artificial intelligence, such as Internet of Things, such as cloud computing, big data, all this. This is something that is important for us for next decade, even longer. But the process today still driven by the big guys. Big guys means those ICT powerful countries and also ICT powerful companies. But again, as I mentioned, today the innovation is not necessarily from big companies, international companies. Innovation can come from small, medium-sized entrepreneurs as well, because the young people, they know technology. But what they know more is those people in the big company may not know well. That is local need, local contents, local applications, local solutions. And so only those young people, SMEs, who have all this in their hand, they can develop solutions, development, to help us to extend the power of ICT, particularly now 5G, nowadays 4G, to connect our people to the world. So we would like to also see the ways to encourage young people, SMEs, startups, to join ITU's activities for standard making process, policy making process. So please try to join your national delegation to come to ITU activities. And we also support the ICT for women, ICT for children, and ICT for disabled people. So all this, I think that we need your active contribution, active participation. So try to come to see us. And of course, if we have any opportunity, we'd like to come to see you in the region. And the last but not least, I would also encourage you to try to get some kind of common ground among yourselves. Some topics such as cybersecurity, it will be difficult to reach international agreement at the international level, at the global level. And you see these cybersecurity discussions, the same topics repeated everywhere. Although 20 years ago it's only for telecom engineers, today it's already up to foreign affairs, even prime minister's office, president's office, but still the questions still remain the same. Discussions more or less repeated everywhere. So at the global level, it's not that easy to reach agreement because this is a really complicated issue. However, at the regional level, sub-regional level, we see that for example, in European region, they already reached some agreement among themselves. And in West Africa, you can also look at common positions among yourselves, that if you reach agreement among yourselves, you can move ahead much faster than anybody else, like eliminating roaming charges. So if you, at this IGF, you find something in common, you try to reach agreement, I will encourage you to move ahead with your common understanding, the common platform, and to try to push the ICT development in some areas, from the regional level, from this part of the Africa, for this part of world. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think that I just make up of electricity broke up, these additional minutes to finish my 5 minutes remark. I wish you all the best. Thank you very much. Very good.
Thank you. We will just have a small photo op.
Can we continue while he leaves? Thank you.
Um, Okay, a big thank you to Mr. Olin Zhao, the Secretary General of the ITU. Let's put our hands together for him once again. So, because we are out of time, we do? So I think we would go straight into the questions. I believe we have two more. Okay, please. But please make it very short. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, and good afternoon once again. So, what I was about to say is more or less a recommendation. So, it is concerning the fake news and then hate speech. Because when you look at this fake news and then hate speech, I think it is important for the West African economic states to come up with an alliance or a task force that is going to be as a steering committee to be responsible of the kind of news that is being published, especially in regards to our leaders. Because that man right there on the poster, Mr. Barrow, if he is able to develop the Gambia up to an extent where we're comparing it to Dubai, and in a short while, because of fake news and then hate speech, the people of the Gambia are disgruntled or are being misled or misinformed, and then they started to misbehave, and then the economic is being turned down to zero. So that means nothing to what he have done. So I think we have all the important stakeholders, all the necessary IPs, stakeholders. So this session should be a session whereby we should not only continue to talk about what we can do or what we are doing in our respective countries, but hence it is the 11th edition. I think there should be something like a task force or a steering committee that should be responsible of the kind of information or news that is being published concerning our news. Last night I was just watching a short video that was in regards to Paul Kagame and Catherine of France 24. So, the questions that she was asking and then the answer that she wanted was quite different that Paul Kagame was given. So after watching that news, I realized that Paul Kagame was a bit disgruntled. After watching the video, my next what comes to my mind was in the next couple of days or couple of years, there will be a lot of fake news concerning him, and then that might turn down the economic of Rwanda to zero. So this is what I want to recommend. Thank you all.
Bonjour, je suis Ouattara Corinne Maurice de la Côte d'Ivoire. Moi, j'ai développé une solution e-santé qui permet d'avoir sur son tout temps ses données personnelles pour faciliter la qualité de soins des populations. Par contre, tout à l'heure, Nena a dit que, parlant des femmes, il faudrait qu'elles arrivent à utiliser les nouvelles technologies à une utilisation plus responsable. Le problème, c'est que moi, dans mon cas d'espèce, il s'est trouvé qu'on a trouvé que, venant d'une femme, donc de moi, que c'était trop prétentieux. On me l'a dit dans les différents ministères que j'ai eu à approcher, que c'était vraiment trop prétentieux, qu'à la limite, je devais me faire accompagner soit par un homme, ou encore, est-ce que je ne pourrais pas me réorienter vers un autre secteur que ce secteur-là, parce que c'était un peu trop prétentieux pour une femme. Donc, c'est pour dire que les femmes ont une utilisation responsable, sauf que même si on n'est pas assez nombreuses, il n'y a pas d'encouragement qui est fait, quoique, de façon théorique, dans la pratique, ça se dit, mais de façon pratique, ça ne se fait pas. Qu'est-ce qui pourrait être fait? Non pas au niveau de la jeune féminine, parce que je pense qu'elle veut oser, mais quand on veut oser, qu'on en fasse des personnes qui, à la limite, vous rabaissent, qu'est-ce qu'il faut faire? Est-ce que ce n'est pas ces gouvernements ou ces institutions-là qu'il faut plutôt coacher, amener à changer leur mentalité? Merci.
Yeah, good afternoon, Madam. My question is going to Madam. During your presentation, you made a mention of digital rights, that the same right that you have online should be the same right on offline. But you came to mention like those rights should go with responsibilities as users. Can you please outline some of those rights that we presently secured as online users? If there is any right that we are securing as online users, can you elaborate on that, please?
Okay, thank you very much. Over to the panelists. I believe they might have noted a couple of questions that were directed to them as well. So
okay,
we have really short time, so try to make it brief. Thank you.
I'll just summarize all the questions being asked and just respond in 1 or 3 sentences. Just the first question regarding victims and their ordeal. We should try to remember that when such issues happen, it just doesn't affect the victims alone. It affects their families. It affects their work relation. It affects their daily activities and the like. So we should learn to put ourselves in victims' shoes to know how it really feels. And then going to the second question that asks about initiatives that are really helping victims in terms of such issues. My organization, which was started last year, which is Shao Gambia, what we do is we provide safe space for victims to be able to openly share their stories and also receive counseling at the same time. Because this is an issue, when it happens to them, they're traumatized for life, but they need to go through some form of counseling to be able to overcome these challenges. There are also some other institutions that offer the same or similar to what we do, but then reach out to them. If you don't talk about your problems, people wouldn't know how to help you. So make sure you're able to talk about issues that are affecting you to people so you can get the necessary help needed. And then the last one about sharing audios online. One thing people need to know is what is personal, what is private to them, and what is personal to them, and what is public or what they want the public to see. Learn to differentiate this two. Don't put too much information online that you know you'll be able to get hot someday tomorrow. Once you know what's private, you're not going to share it with anybody, it will be private. Once you want people to see certain things, it's public, then people will get access to them, and then you don't have a say in it once it's being shared or whatsoever it is. So learn to differentiate this rule, and then you will know how to really keep yourself safe when you're online. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. I would like to attend the person who asked about the steering committee at the ECOWAS level to police the content that we share online. I think we should be very careful when we come to police the content we are putting online, because censorship is there, because we are talking about rights, not because there's fake news. So we should allow today police of content we put online. I would rather recommend that we produce high quality content on our mainstreams. It's because most of the televisions in West African countries, I mean state-owned televisions, their content are not really engaging. Few people watch those channels just for news, usually, because they don't produce the content people are looking for. So I would rather encourage production of high quality content, fact-checking, instead of thinking about policing the media. And the second point I would like to attend is about the legislative efforts in the countries. I would like to mention it here. We all have that responsibility to engage with the government to actually design the kind of rights we want online. Because I think all the stakeholders are in this room. If we come out together, having a multi-stakeholder bills where everyone's right is respected, I don't think we will need someone to police anyone. And for the government, which is my last point, I think if the air is polluted, we will not shut it down. So let's take the internet as the air. If it's polluted, let's look for solutions, not shut it down. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. I want to speak to 3 points. How many of you attended West Africa IGF in 2017 in Cotonou, Benin? Okay. On the last session, the government representative of Benin said, and I quote, "Il n'y a pas de raison valable pour interrompre l'Internet." Sorry for the French. I remember those words in French because he said them in French. He said, there are no valid reasons to shut down the internet. He was representing the ministry. He was speaking in Cotonou. Fast forward 2 years down, Benin has shut down the internet. What happened? What happened is that this man was speaking from the honesty of his person. There is need for systemic change. Every year we come to West Africa IGF and we have communiques. There are only declarations. We have not put in any engagement to make them real. And as long as we keep giving birth to communiques with no engagement, with no follow-up at home, we will be having the same thing. Today we have Gambia shining, smiling at us. Who knows what tomorrow will be in Gambia? And the minister today might be nice. What happens to the next minister? And we have found out that in most cases, the regulator is not even aware of what is happening. Somebody over there on top just takes that decision. So my call is for systemic change. Things that we have within law, things that we can sue for, things that we have a right to, that is more important than declarations. And maybe I should suggest to us, 15 countries here, for anyone doing a constitution review, I understand Gambia is undergoing a constitution review now. We need to begin to foster in the digital economy into our constitutions. Why not? Because this is 2019. To the lady from Cote d'Ivoire and to everybody here, I wrote it down in my book. The people offline are the same people online. Hello? The West Africans you see on your streets, offline, they are the same people you see. The same character they have offline is the same character they have. The things they talk about offline is the things they talk about. The same way they treat women offline is the same way they treat women. Online is only a platform. So the same way you defend yourself offline is the same way you defend yourself. The same way the police will catch you and take you to court when you have a crime offline is the same way the digital police will do what? Catch you, try you, and jail you in real life. It is Facebook that jails your content for 3 days and then brings you back. But the thing is, the same cultural issues, the same cultural perspectives that we have offline, we still have them online. The same way that many men who have not been well educated to the value of women feel superior to women offline is the same way they do online. So the work of education, of educating people, men and women, to respect each other, to value each other, to know that a woman is not less value than a man, should continue even online. Sisters, as a lady, I can tell you, I have been given all kinds of names. But like I said, if you do something, you will be called names. If you don't do anything, you will be called names. Why don't you just do something, be happy? Let them call you names. When you succeed and you are happy, if you have time, you can come and apologize. But please live your life, be happy. And if anyone wants to be miserable, let him be.
Thank you very much. I think on this note, we can close the panel. I want to say a very big thank you to our panelists. They've been really amazing. Let's put our hands together for them once again. So finally, I leave you with this. I think a conclusion on what everyone has said is that digital rights are human rights, whether they are offline or online. So let's always keep that in mind. Thank you so much as we conclude. So we can move on to our lunch. I think it's lunch. Okay.